So, the spoilers are out for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 413, and let's just say that we are going to get some major reveals on potentially how Deku is going to defeat Tomoe Shigaraki, and it's going to be in a very unique and interesting way. And we'll get to see what that is when we talk about the spoilers right now. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Andrew, and I'm here to talk about the spoilers for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 413. And from what we're getting with the spoilers, we are once again continuing the battle between Deku and Tomura with a slight twist, where at the end of the last chapter, we have the idea that Deku has to give up one for all, and in this chapter, we kind of elaborate a little bit more on what that could mean for Deku, as well as the story moving forward. So, let's just dive right into the leaks and really get an understanding of the stakes that are in stake for Deku. And to start off, the title of this chapter is Chapter 413, A Lump of Lead. And the chapter begins with a flashback of Star and New Order's final moments inside of All for One Vestige. While fighting the other quirks, she saw something quite unusual. Master, there's a sad child over there, as she points to a crack. All Might then wakes up. Edshot says that All Might needs to stay awake so he doesn't die, but All Might isn't sure what happened. He was having a vision, just like when he was in the hospital with Deku after the war. But how? He's too far away from Deku right now. Is One for All becoming frayed? Cuts back to the fight, and Tomura doesn't understand why he had the vision of Star. I've annihilated you. But then he remembers her last line about heroes always inheriting each other's will, and thinks about the possibility of it being an ember of Star's flame. So, this is something interesting, and this is kind of an idea that I had for the purpose of Star and Stripe within the story, not necessarily just nerfing Tomoe Shigaraki, but also the revealing of Tomura still being inside of Tomura, or should I say Tenko still being inside Tomura. So it's cool that we're getting a little bit more elaboration and really showing that Star and Stripe is going to be playing a role in this final battle in a way, but also showing that there is still a connection between Star and All Might, as well as the connection that All Might has with One for All, because it was once his quirk. So it's cool that we're going to potentially get a little bit more of that established in this chapter, and I can't wait to do a more proper understanding when the more proper translations come out. But going into the next chunk of the text spoilers, we have Deku is thrown to the ground and asks what Kudo means by that. He begins to explain the lump of lead inside Shigaraki represented all the anger, frustration, and memories of his past. But now it's all come together, solidified, and formed an impenetrable layer of hatred. However, All Might's Vestige noticed a crack during the fight against Star. A wound opened up inside his consciousness, and since it's a mental wound, it can't be healed with a quirk. Current Tomura is too strong to be defeated, so they have to finish him off from the inside. Transferring One for All to Shigaraki will make that crack increase in size until it breaks, allowing them to reach his consciousness directly. But In disagrees with this plan. He thinks that this will only make Shigaraki stronger, just like what happened with Danger Sense. Kudo says that he has expanded his idea of transferring. Just as Deku used to have the egg microwave imagery, he has to visualize it in a more aggressive way. Kudo has an example. During lessons, how does Bakugo pass the paper to Deku? He throws them in his face. Depending on the way the transfer goes, Shigaraki could take damage. And to test it, Kudo volunteers to go first. Since only Shinomori got stolen a while back, they know that it's possible to transfer only part of the power, only the quirk factor strengthened by One for All. In says that if someone is going to go, it has to be him. Since Smokescreen is being the most useless quirk right now, Kudo says no, and N continues saying that it'll be the end if Shigaraki uses Gear Shift. Now, from what we're getting with this chunk of the text spoilers, we're getting a little bit more understanding of what it means for Deku to actually transfer One for All to Tomoe Shigaraki. Not necessarily transferring the entirety of its quirk, but in a way trying to reinterpret what the power actually means. Because One for All, at its core, is the ability to transfer from one person to another. So if it can prevent someone from taking it, maybe it can be forced upon someone else, and they come to an idea that the world that we saw last chapter can be broken apart by a singular crack that still exists inside of it. So if anything, what we're getting most likely in this chapter is a cool strategic way of defeating Tomoe Shigaraki without necessarily it being just an all-out brawl fisticuffs. And I kind of like to see where this is going to go in the actual translations proper, to see and gain a better grasp on what it means for Deku to actually transfer part of the powers of One for All, and what it would mean for All for One, the quirk itself, when it comes to its interactions with One for All as well. But now we're approaching towards the end of the text spoilers, and to start off, we have Kudo saying that he's pretty sure that if the quirks is transferred, the level of the recoil won't get reset. In other words, if Shigaraki uses Gear Shift, he'll be more exhausted than Deku is now, since he'll be using it an extra time. Bruce says that he has always followed Kudo, but he doesn't agree with this decision. Kudo says that he knows it's a risky bet. They've lived in dark times and fought in cruel battles, so he now wants to believe in the boy who hasn't given up on the saving a heart. We see a flashback of Deku saying that he's blessed to have All Might near him, and Nana's vestige appears. He says that Deku's hesitating not because he's afraid or because he can't handle it, but because he considers One for All a treasure that he got from his favorite hero. Tomoe tells them to stop yapping, and Kudo asks Banjo to stay by the boy's side. He also asks Yoichi to help, and he simply says, "Leave it to me, my hero." Kudo shouts, "The rest is up to you. What do you say, Izuku Midoriya?" And Deku replies, "I'll do it." A huge wave of black whips tears Tomoe's arm off. Shigaraki stares at his opponent and says, "Looking at you, I'd never guess you're a hero." Deku is shirtless and his black whips all over his body. It's such a cool visual and a great spread. End of chapter. And unfortunately, we are going to be on break next week. So, the final part of the text spoilers is going to probably be the most interesting part of the chapter, because we do get a little bit more characterization from Deku in this final moment, but we also get to see really the characterization or potential character growth and development of Kudo believing in Deku, and Deku doing it forthwith. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this chapter and the next chapters are really going to tackle Deku actually losing the power of One for All in small bits and pieces, but using it seemingly more tactically and more offensively. And potentially the foreshadowing of what quirks may actually remain after the battle is over. But yeah, that's all I really want to say for right now. I want to save more of my deeper thoughts about the chapter when the more chapter translations come out. But yeah, that's pretty much all I really want to say. I want to leave my more proper thoughts of the chapter for when the actual more proper translations come out. But let me ask you this. What did you think of the chapter spoilers? Do you like them? Do you dislike them? And are you okay with potentially Deku losing One for All? Leave your thoughts down below, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to see more content like this. Do all that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye!